Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where the fourth closet is a recording closet. Now, most of you are probably confused about that opening reference, which means that you haven't implanted Scott Cawthon with an RFID tracker that follows his every movement. Fortunately, I have, which means that I can tell you two things. One, Scott spends a lot of time on the toilet. Gotta stop maxing out the spicy salsa at Chipotle, Scotty C. Us old people gotta watch our digestive biomes. And two, the FNAF series may have quote-unquote ended with FNAF 6, but our time with the 13 variations of the same darn animatronic bear are far from over because Scott has been quietly working away on his pièce de résistance, Ultimate Custom Night. All your favorite characters from all the games attacking you all at the same time. 51 characters, all able to be cranked up to level 20. I gotta be real, Markiplier, might be time to be giving up your FNAF crown. That means there can only be one. Doko, save us, you're our only hope. Anyway, if you're wondering why this episode took so long to come out, that's one of the big reasons why. I was afraid that, like the last custom night, I'd be working on the theory and the DLC would come out with hidden scenes explaining the lore, and then suddenly I'd have to contend with even more purple people puking up robotic spaghetti in the middle of the streets. But based on Scott's playtesting, where right now he's averaging a survival time of 15 seconds, it looks like I may have an opening here. Been a while, let me remind you that we've already covered a lot of ground here in videos 1 and 2 of the series. Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, otherwise known as FNAF 6, was created with the intention to tie up a lot of loose ends, both for Scott and for the game franchise. We learned that William's business partner Henry, who we were first introduced to back in FNAF World and later in the novels, does in fact play a role in the mainline series of the games. Henry is canon. In FNAF 6, he creates a simulated pizzeria to serve as a trap, luring in all the remaining animatronics. One could say it was a locked box to put all the pieces together. Henry then pulls a Thanos and turns everyone into an ashy pile.
I'm not feeling too good, Foxy.
Henry's hit list included Springtrap, aka William Afton, aka the metaphorical purple guy, Baby, aka William's daughter Elizabeth, Ennard, aka the combination of Molten Freddy / Ballora / Funtime Foxy, your player character Michael Afton, aka the literal purple guy who puked up robot spaghetti, and the newcomer Lefty, like Wally but with less robot lovey-dovey and more robot stabby-stabby. We learn through the hidden insanity ending and other in-game clues that Lefty is a containment suit, built specifically by Henry to lure and trap the puppet, which is possessed by the spirit of his deceased daughter who remains nameless. The insanity ending also gave us clues as to how the Funtime animatronics function. Unlike the OGs, the Funtimes are heated up and infused with remnant. It's basically soul juice that's extracted from kidnapped children. But that was all just surface stuff. Through our analysis of the Fruity Maze minigame and clues from FNAF 2, we were able to piece together that this dead dog is probably Mangle, and that this girl becomes one of Afton's early victims. It's clearly not his daughter, notice the eye color, and it's not Henry's daughter, notice the hair color, so it must be one of William Afton's victims. And that's pretty much everything we covered in my last 2 videos. But now it's time to get to the new stuff, starting with this girl. Not only do we know that this is one of William Afton's earliest victims, we also know that her name is Susie and that she goes on to possess Chica. That's right, we can identify her based on this image. If you manage to find all the game's Easter eggs, you unlock the Lore Keeper certificate and a final screen at the end of the game, a hillside filled with gravestones. Graves with a very diverse set of names. 5 in the foreground with 1 name obscured and 1 in the back, with, again, the name hidden from view. Trust me, I tried my best to pull a CSI on that one. Enhance. Enhance again. Enhance a 3rd time. Damn it, Scott! Anyway, this imagery should seem pretty familiar, right? 4 graves with 4 names, 3 boys and a girl, which perfectly matches up to our core 4 animatronics, 3 boy robots and a girl robot. To further solidify the point, look at how the graves are arranged. It's a pattern that's identical to the arrangement of the masks in the good ending of FNAF 3, even down to the girl character being 3rd in line and slightly behind the other 2. Coincidence? I think you know the answer to to that by now. Then you have this mysterious 5th grave hidden off to the side. That one definitely contains the soul of whoever winds up possessing Golden Freddy, but more on that one later. And lastly, there's this one overlooking them all. Up on the top of the hill, that's the puppet. Henry's daughter, the one who watches over the rest. 6 main characters, 6 graves, and the same 6 characters that we see fade away during the Happiest Day minigame at the end of FNAF 3's good ending. In short, what the gravestone scene is revealing to us is who these victims are, with Susie as Chica. That also means Freddy is really named Gabriel, Foxy is Fritz, and Bonnie is Jeremy. It's also relatively easy to figure out the name on the puppet's grave, Charlie, or Charlotte, one of the two. We know this not through the games, but rather through the books. But the books aren't canon, I hear you saying, and you're absolutely right, they're not. But they're starting to cross over very heavily. For instance, the entire reveal of William Afton having a business partner named Henry, he was first introduced in the Silver Eyes long before Sister Location ever came out. You ever wonder about this weird wolf poster hanging in the alley of FNAF 6? It's actually one of the Twisted animatronics from the second novel, The Twisted Ones, who are programmed to hide during the day by burying themselves in shallow graves, then dig themselves up at night to roam the countryside looking for innocent victims to vor. And wouldn't you know it, but that's exactly what we see hinted at in the FNAF 6 minigame Midnight Motorist. By going through the game's secret exit and then plowing your car into this random area between the trees, you're able to get out in a clearing in the middle of a forest, and in the upper left corner of the screen is a pile of unmarked dirt. You can't interact with it, the game doesn't acknowledge it at all, but very clearly it is intentionally there. It's super random, right? It is, until you read The Twisted Ones. Or have me read it for you, because seriously, that's why I'm here. Page 74, quote, "When Charlie reached the backyard, she stopped dead. Before her were 3 huge holes in the ground. They looked like graves. Something climbed out of these," end quote. So clearly, even though the books aren't canon, there is significant crossover with the characters and events from the series. In the books, Henry had a daughter named Charlotte. In the games, Henry has a daughter who goes on to become the puppet. It only makes sense for them to share the name, hence gravestone number 5. But it's gravestone number 6 where, I gotta be honest, after months of brainstorming, working and reworking sequences of events and analyzing imagery, I have to regrettably admit defeat. You heard that right. For the first time ever on the show, I have to throw in the towel. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of leads here. Loose threads that I know go somewhere, and I feel like I'm just a step or 2 away from putting it all together, but I just can't quite do it, and I hate to admit it, and honestly, that is the other reason why this video has taken so long for me to write and put together. I didn't want to admit defeat. I didn't want to come to you without a complete idea of what was going on, but honestly, at this point, I'm almost out of ideas, and I need your help, or maybe even a little helpful nudge from Scott Cawthon in the comments to help put it all together, which honestly could be a very cool group project for all of us to work on together. Anyway, let me explain. Grave 6 obviously belongs to Golden Freddy, and once we know that name, we'll finally be able to uncover the source behind the mysterious repeated messages of "It's me" that have been popping up since FNAF 1. It is a huge deal. And here's the biggest twist of them all. We're not shooting in the dark here. Scott has already given us all the information that we need to solve what the name actually is. You see, the trio of novels isn't the only book that Scott Cawthon's released. Late last year, Scott released the Five Nights at Freddy's Survival Logbook, an activity workbook for kids filled with things like simple quizzes about the games, drawing projects, and writing prompts. The theme is that you're a new night guard at the Freddy's restaurant. It's adorable! Until you realize it's a book asking kids who their stuff would go to when they die a gruesome, horrific death trapped inside a furry suit. It's some dark stuff. But perhaps the darkest part of the book is the dabbing Chica. Anyway, things start to feel more than they seem from page 1, when it's revealed that this book once belonged to a guy named Mike. And one look at the book's word search immediately clues you in that there's way more here than meets the eye, putting the likes of Gravity Falls Journal number 3 on blast. Basically, the Five Nights at Freddy's Survival Logbook is a book-length metagame dedicated to revealing Golden Freddy's real name, all disguised as a children's activity workbook. It is unquestionably my favorite thing that this franchise has yet produced. That is no exaggeration. This thing is so cool, but the problem is, I can't solve it. Here's how it all breaks down. Several pages throughout the book contain faded text that says, "My name." Each of those pages with that text also has a numeric clue hidden on it. Sometimes it's written in plain sight, sometimes with numbers out of place, sometimes the page number itself is wrong. Page 29 is numbered 52, page 32 is numbered 39, page 43 is numbered 15. On page 44, 47, the numbers 7 and 2 appear out of order in this survey question. On page 85, we're presented with a list and numbers 10 and 11 appear in red. On page 108, the time 8:11 appears on an incident report that Mike was supposed to log in. So putting all those numeric clues in order, we get 52, 39, 15, 7, 2, 10, 11, 8, 11. But that's just the beginning. Throughout the book, there are some coupons for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. On one of those coupons, we see that Mike wrote himself the message, "For real value, see page 61. You flip over to page 61 and suddenly you see a finish the comic strip exercise, where in one of the panels, Foxy and Freddy stand in front of a chalkboard with 5 plus 4 written in one part and a 3 written in the bottom right corner. To me, this very clearly tells us that we need to add the two numbers together on each of those 6 pages from earlier to get the real value for that page. 5 plus 2 is 7, 3 plus 9 is 12, 1 plus 5 is 6, 7 plus 2 is 9, 10 plus 11 is 21, and 8 plus 11 is 19. 7, 12, 6, 9, 21, 19, which seems like it's giving us a code to a 6-letter name. But now, what do you do with those numbers? Well, one page in the book contains a giant grid that encourages readers to draw in 8 bits. But if you look closely at the grid's axes are actually numbered, and there are tiny letters in the grid's first few boxes. It seemed to me like this grid was setting up an alphanumeric code where the numbers each get represented by a different letter. Putting 7, 12, 6, 9, 21, and 19 into that, you get Gilpheus. It's clearly not Golden Freddy's real name. But then what about that 3 that's in the bottom right corner of the chalkboard? I tried shifting all the letters and numbers 3 up and 3 down, decoding, recoding, still nothing that would make any sort of sense. But I wasn't admitting defeat yet. The fact that all this is happening on a grid seemed to point to the numbers being decoded using a Visionaire cipher. If you've never encountered these before, well, welcome to the exciting world of cryptography, the art of solving codes. Visionaire ciphers are one of the most famous codes out there. Basically, you need a giant alphabet grid and a keyword. So say I want to encode the word crying child, that's called my plain text, and I want my keyword to be Mike. What I would do is in my alphabet grid, go over to my first letter, the C in crying, and then go down to the row M, the first letter in my keyword Mike. That gives me the letter O. Then I would find where column R for the R in crying intersects with row I for the second letter in Mike to get a Z. That's my second encoded letter. And then keep going with column Y crossing with row K, and on, repeating the keyword over and over until I'm at the end of the phrase. If you've done it correctly, you get the ciphertext or encoded word Ozim Zamlun. Ozim Zamluton. Ozim Zamlutton. Then to decode, you just reverse the process. And that's what I tried, over and over again, on and off again for months, and still nothing. Using those real values of 7, 12, 6, 9, 21, and 19, I tried everything. Different keywords like Mike, Chica, Friday, since it's on the magazine that Foxy's reading, Bonnie, Foxy, doing the process forwards and backwards, trying to shift everything by 3, both before and after the encoding and decoding process, since that's the random number on the chalkboard that has no explanation. I even started reversing the codes I was working with, since the number 3 on the chalkboard could potentially relate to page 3 of the survival guide, which specifically says take a moment for self-reflection. So that's what I did. I reflected the numbers before coding, after coding, reversing the alphabet, still nothing. If you think that's a lot, I still wasn't done, because there are other oddities in this book. For unknown reasons, Mike has made red ink tally marks throughout it. On page 9, they're 5. On page 19, there are 10. On page 31, there are 14, but they're in 2 groups, a 5 and a 9. On page 36, there are 5. On page 100, there are again 5. No explanation, no nothing. But they can't just be random tally marks, right? They seem important, and they seem especially important because there are 6 tally hints, just like the 6 real values that we found hidden throughout the book earlier. So I've tried shifting the individual letters off of those tally marks. Nothing. Tried shifting the letters off the tallies, then shifting the results by that 3 that's on that chalkboard. Nothing. Added the tallies, then reversed. Nothing. And on and on and on. Hopefully this all gives you an idea of what I do for some of these theories, taking weeks just to brainstorm new ways to attack the problem, but this time I'm coming up empty-handed. I still have nothing. None of my attempts have yielded anything like a real word or a name. It feels like I'm right there, like the solution is right in front of me, but I just can't quite grasp it. And this is where I have to raise the white flag. I don't know what to do. I need your help.